Hello, hello, hello. I am super excited to do this live. Okay. Because we're talking about what I learned when I really decided to trust God with my marriage. Um, in case you're new to me, I'm Arrettres founder of Connecting Love and Marriage. I am now live in my private Facebook group and also here on YouTube. I help wives heal from infidelity so that they can confidently restore their marriage. And today's topic is what I've learned when I really decided to trust God with my marriage. So let's just be clear. I'm ride or die team Jesus all day, every day. Like I can't make it without him. I ain't gonna be able to do it. Okay. I need him in my life with everything that I do. I'm a mom, a wife. I do all the things active in ministry, at church. So I need him for everything. But within my marriage or certain areas of my life, I've noticed that I'm very controlling, very domineering, very, I got the plan. I know what to do. I've got all the things. I don't need the help. Not that I don't need God's help, but when you have this beautiful plan that you've created, it's like, boom, boom. What else do I need? And sometimes that would drift off into my marriage, to the point where I felt I had to fix, I had to do, because I'm a fixer, I'm a leader. I do things. You tell me a problem, I got a solution for you. I can tell you how to fix it, when to fix it, how long it'll probably take for it to get fixed fully. Okay. But that's just who I am. And when it came to my marriage, I struggled because it's like, look, let's do A, B, and C. Let's do X, Y, and Z. Because 1 + 1 is 2. So here we go. And my husband looking at me like, and I'm looking at God like, what's up? I came up with the plan. And I wasn't fully trusting God with my marriage. I wasn't fully trusting him to do what he does. I wasn't fully trusting him to be who he can be in my marriage. And that can be a problem. Okay. Now, was I outwardly saying, hey, boo? Was I outwardly saying, I don't trust God? No. But in my actions was showing that I didn't fully trust God because I wasn't really willing to release um control. Okay. Now, I'm the first one to say I got control issues. I like to be in control of the situations so that the situations can end up the way that I want the situations to end up. Okay, that's just me. Um, so I've had to learn over time, one, how to not be that way in my entire life. Okay. And then two, how that can actually work against me experiencing the marriage of my dreams. Okay. So when I finally decided to fully trust God, what happened? Well, I realized it wasn't my job to fix my marriage. And that took a lot of weight off of me. That took a lot of the struggle off of me. It's not my job to fix my marriage. It's my job to be aligned with God. It's yes, that you play a role in it. Yes, both partners play a role in it, but there's a certain part of it that is 100% all God. It's 100% God's doing it. It's 100% God touching the heart of my husband. It's a 100% of God healing areas within me that were still wounded or bruised from my marriage, my last marriage, and my childhood. So realizing and accepting it is not my job to fix it. It is not my job to restore the marriage. That means I can take my hands off of it and stop trying to manipulate things and make things happen. Because that's when we get into trouble. Because God knows my husband better than I ever could. Kind of like when Apple start acting up, your Mac or your iPhone starts acting up, you can go to a friend. Yeah, but why not go to the Apple store? Why not go to the people who created the cell phone, who know the ins and outs and all the intricacies of it? Okay. So What was the first thing that I learned? The first thing was it's my job to align with what I want. What I'm wanting in my marriage, I need to now align with it. For example, and I'll relate it to you want a house. You're shopping for the house. You need all these things in the house. But are you working on yourself? Are you now stepping out and becoming a homeowner, or even an association with pregnancy? When you want to have a baby, you start preparing. Well, many women, it depends on your age. Sometimes it's an oops, but you normally prepare. You make sure your finances are aligned. You make sure your health is aligned. Some women lose weight so that the pregnancy is successful. Um, you begin to align with the things that you believe mothers or being a mother is like. You need to do the same thing with your marriage. If you want to have a successful marriage, what are your expectations? Well, how are you behaving within this marriage? Um, and I'm looking at my notes as I'm chatting with you. Um, you must be in surrender. And this was hard for me because it really meant no control. I'm letting go of all control and I'm surrendering to God. You have to surrender with God's plan. Even when you don't know the specific and exact outcome. You surrender to God's plan in a way to where, Lord, let your will be done. I'm going to do these things that align with my expectation. I'm going to do these things that align with what I'm anticipating is coming. I'm anticipating that my marriage is going to be healthy. It's going to be blessed. It's going to be restored. We're going to be in love. We're going to go on vacations and all the things. I'm trusting Him. I'm healed. I'm whole. Now I'm aligning and I'm surrendering to that. And that's actually a process. There's a couple steps involved there. You got to go through the forgiveness process. You got to go through grieving. You have to allow yourself to heal. So when you're surrendering and aligning yourself with your expectation, that actually means that you are actively engaging in the process, the inner process. Okay. And today is mostly about inner work. It's about really dealing with what's on the inside. Okay. So, what can you do? One, set the atmosphere for what you're anticipating. Set the atmosphere. So you find out you're pregnant. I'm going to use pregnancy as an example because many, women can relate to that or understand the concept. Whether you've had a child or not, you understand the concept of preparing for a child. So, one, you're going to set the atmosphere for what you're anticipating. Okay, so let me start with um, I'm going to start looking at baby names. Where are we going to put the baby? I'm going to start looking at baby furniture. I'm going to start looking at, baby clothes and just different things because I'm setting an atmosphere. I'm going to get the baby's room together. What colors do I want? What's the theme that I want? I'm aligning with my expectation. Have I had this baby yet? No. I mean, even with the concept or the thought and the understanding and belief of knowing that unfortunately, some women do not, you never think in your mind, oh, I'm going to lose a baby. You never think in your mind, oh, it's not going to happen. You're not thinking of that. You're thinking it's guaranteed. The baby's going to come. I'm going to be here and it's going to be magical. That's all you're thinking about. So as you're preparing, you have to make sure that you're aligning yourself and setting the atmosphere. And you're walking in this like it's going to happen. Two, function as though it's already happened. I started eating better. I started, experiencing. I would go into the baby's room and hold the toys or pretend that I'm holding the baby. Or sometimes, you put the pillow underneath your shirt and you're walking around and you're acting like your belly is bigger and you envision and you daydream and you're thinking about this baby, even though the baby hasn't come yet. You have to do that same thing with your marriage. You have to function as though it's already happened. You have to have this because what you have to do is you have to reprogram your mind. One of the issues that many women experience when they're struggling with infidelity are the mental, the thoughts, the mentality, the memories. They're struggling with, oh my gosh, he did this, now what? He did this, now what? So they're struggling with this what's going to happen thing. And they allow their mind to go back and forth in between two different worlds, in between their past and their future. And you've got to get control over your mind and do not allow the two to collide. You cannot allow your past to now be in your future. Your husband is now dedicated. He's doing his best. You're working on restoration, but you cannot continue to walk in the past because when you have this baby, when you have a baby, do you go back and say, "Oh, well, I don't have children. I don't have to worry about daycare and baby crying." You're not thinking about it. No. You are intentional. You are engaged. You are purposeful. When it comes to, you have to be that same way with your marriage. Intentional, purposeful, engaged. So function as though it's already happened. Next, raise your expectations. Raise your expectation. Okay, I don't even need to go to the whole pregnancy situation with this. Raise your expectation. What do you want in your marriage? Stop. You are ambitious. You are strong. You are a leader. You say what you mean. You mean what you say. You got no problem in saying what exactly you want. Exactly how you want it to look. What do you want it to be? You're not a little mousy woman. So don't be that way in your marriage. As you're rebuilding, you are to raise your expectations. What is it that you want? Where have you been settling? And this is an ongoing thing. Even if you have not experienced infidelity, any stage in your marriage, raise those expectations because you're evolving. Like I'm constantly saying to my husband, I'm not the same 26-year-old woman that you married. I've evolved. I've grown. I've matured. My desires have changed. I've grown more spiritually. I've grown more mentally. So now my expectations are completely different. So that 27, 28-year-old guy that I married, that's no longer going to do it for me. Every once in a while I'll call him daddy, my sugar daddy. He's not a sugar daddy. He's only a year or two older than me, but I'll call him my sugar daddy because that's kind of like what I'm wanting right about now. I'm probably too old to actually have a sugar daddy. Well, I don't know. I'm 45, so technically, I guess I probably could. He'd be old. I mean, he'd be up there like 70. I don't know. But anywho, I digress. That's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day. But say what you want and then raise your expectations. We are no longer living beneath our desires. We're no longer experiencing marriage of just we're roommates. We're not doing that. What do you want in your marriage? What do you want from your husband? Now, of course, it may take time for him to evolve. It may take time for him to get a grasp of it. It may take a time for him to, start to experience or become or mature into, what you desire or kind of like romance is not easy for some men. It just really depends. And if you're wanting romance, don't just say, I want you to be romantic. What exactly does romance mean to you? Because to me, romance is I'm eating something. I'm eating some kind of seafood, some kind of food. I'm eating. We're eating dinner. We're watching a movie, and he's rubbing my feet. That to me, I'm good. I'm good. I don't need all the let's go out, let's get dressed up. Can I please not get dressed up? Can I please not have to put heels on? Can we just sit at home on the couch? But that's me and that's my preference. Now, of course, there's times when I like to get dressed up, when I like to get fancy, and do all the things. But that's romance for me. So raise your expectations, be confident, be bold, and speak what you want. We're not being timid anymore. Not in our marriage. Because if you're naturally a timid person, then so be it. But honey, the women that I work with are ambitious, they're driven, they're strong, they have strong personalities, they are natural leaders and have no problem in telling the people what they want. Okay. So we're not going to be that way in our marriages. And this is the thing about it. When you're doing that in your marriage, it's because you're scared. You're scared of ruffling feathers. You're scared he's going to do it again. You're scared that he's going to get tired of waiting. God didn't give you a spirit of fear. Yes, there's ways to do things and there's ways to speak so that you don't lose, it doesn't turn into World War III every time you have a conversation. Yes, there's ways to have that conversation. And that's what I deal with. That's what I teach my clients in the Elite and Empowered Wife. I teach you how to assert yourself, have those conversations, be bold, be confident, and live and experience the love and marriage of your dreams. It is possible. Infidelity does not mean death of a marriage. Let me put that out there. Yes, it can be a deal breaker for many women. But for those women who choose to say, you know what, I really want to see what God can do through us. Those women that say, you know what, I don't want to give up on my marriage. I don't want to give up on my family, and I'm going to trust God. I believe he can, because this is my thing. If he can part the Red Sea and let Moses and all them folk with him walk on dry land, not muddy land, dry land, then he can restore a marriage where two people are working to rebuild. It is not impossible. And the devil's a lie that tells you, oh, once a cheater, always a cheater. Now, don't get me wrong. There's some men out there who do not deserve a second chance. But there are also men out there who made a mistake and are broken and are, their heart is broken regarding what they've done. And they are vowed and dedicated and committed to rebuilding. Their heart, number one, is broken because they've offended God. They made a mockery of marriage. So their heart is broken at what they did towards God. And then they're broken because, wow, I've broken this woman who I love and I cherish. So they're good men, and you have to make that decision for yourself. And I work with those women who say, you know what, my husband is dedicated to the marriage. He's willing to work on it. He's trying, but I just can't get to a place where I can trust him. I can't get to a place where I'm healed. Those are the women that I work with. Those are the women that I help. Those are the women who look, I can tell you stories, but I'm not going to tell you stories now. But anywho, and the last thing, release, reject all negative energy and thoughts. So while you're going through this process, the Bible says that God's given you power to take captive every thought, which means the enemy is going to throw the darts. He's going to throw the memories. He's going to make you second guess yourself. He's going to throw all the stuff he could possibly think of that's going to make you reject God and reject your marriage. He's going to do that. But it's your responsibility. It's your job to say, not today, Satan. You're not weak. Take captive every thought. Control your thoughts. I break that down in my program too, of how to do that, because it can be hard sometimes. And sometimes we want to have a pity party. And sometimes we want to eat the ice cream on the couch and be sad. Let's just be real. Life gets tough sometimes. Life gets hard. But this is the thing. If you're a woman of ambition, you're a woman of integrity, you're a woman of power, you know who you are, then you don't have time to have these long extended pity parties. So what we do, you release the thoughts and you reject them. And you're now reprogramming your mind to think on these things, to think on different things. You're reprogramming your mind to no longer allow the enemy. Don't let the enemy win. Baby girl, you have power already inside of you to overcome every single thought that is attacking you. Every single plot of the enemy that is attacking you, you already have the power to overcome it right now and today. Not tomorrow, not next month. The power is already inside of you. But this is the thing. This is what happens. There's stuff piled on top of it. There's pain on top of it. It's fear on top of it. It's confusion on top of it. You're trying to find clarity, but clarity doesn't go. It's underneath there. You have all this junk. You have baggage on top of it. You have childhood memories on top of it. You have trauma on top of it. And unfortunately, your power is sitting there like, I'm trying to get out. I'm trying to get out. I'm trying to get out. But as a woman and a believer in Christ, it's your job to now say, you know what? Time out for this mess. Let me get rid of this stuff that is keeping me from being the woman that God has created me to be. God will give you the power to start digging. Even the digging process is filled with power. Even the process of standing up and saying, no more, no more. Because in order to restore your marriage, you have to deal with what's going on inside of you first. That's part of the reason why I'm a little against, marriage counseling before individual counseling. And it's not even a little bit. I'm against it. I am 100%. Coaching, therapy, counseling for the marriage and marriage restoration prior to the healing of the two individual people. I'm against it. As a woman, you cannot fix something until you deal with what's broken. You can't rebuild something until you address the foundation. You can't. There's absolutely no way. So right now, you're working on building a marriage and building intimacy and doing all these things, and you're struggling. Yes, you're struggling because your heart is still broken. You have not healed yet. You have not gone through the process yet. So let's deal with the healing process. Let's deal with getting you to a place of wholeness. Because you're whole, but you're broken and you're hurting and you're strong and you're ambitious and you've got, work and everything going on and your business is thriving, but your home, you're broken in this area. So that's why it's important for you to now, when I say I'm against marriage counseling, coaching, therapy, I'm not saying I'm against it at all. What I'm saying is when you start your counseling, that program either needs to have an aspect of it where they're dealing with you one-on-one, because let's be clear, even as a woman, even though you've experienced what you've experienced, you will not give all the truth with your husband being there. And that's why, with my program, I deal with the woman first, and then we introduce, husbands later on to the program. When you're sitting there in front of the counselor and your husband's there, you're not going to be as raw. You're not going to be as thorough. You're not going to be as open to being freely expressing yourself. You're not going to be as open as you would one-on-one. It's just the way we are. We protect our husbands. Even though they've done something wrong, we still desire for them to be protected. We don't want to make them look fully bad. And then you're scared you're going to hurt his feelings and you're scared he's going to feel rejected. And even though he did what he did, you're still, worried about preserving him, So I'm 100% fully supportive of marriage counseling, coaching, therapy. I have a program for that too. But what my number one thing is empowering you to experience the life and the marriage of your dreams, empowering you to heal so that you can now be fully engaged in the restoration process. That's what I am here for. That's what I do. Okay. So what I learned when I really decided to trust God with my marriage, there's these 5 things that are very important to me. Number 1, it's not up to me to make it happen. It's not my job to restore the marriage. Take that pressure off your shoulders. It's not my job. That's God's job. Okay. Yes, you play a role, but it's not your job. Number 2, set the atmosphere for what I'm anticipating. What am I desiring? What am I looking at? What do I want? Now let me set the atmosphere for that in my home. 2, function as though it's already happened. Honey, you got to walk in faith. You got to experience, you have to walk this thing out in faith, even though you don't see it right now. Walk it out. Raise my expectations. Speak what do you want, boo? Speak it. And then create that within your life, in your marriage. And then reject all negative energy and thoughts. Get rid of and take back your power. Take captive every thought. The thoughts are going to come because the devil's on his job. The devil's going to do what the devil do. He going to do it. Okay. We already know this is not about us. This is about principalities. This is about the enemy wanting to destroy you. Look, if you don't already know this, the devil hates you and your marriage. He hates it. He despises it. He does not want you to grow. He does not want your marriage to be restored. So he's going to do every. Marriage represents God's love for his people. I believe marriage was placed on this earth to be a representation of how much Christ loved us. It says, men, love your wives as Christ loved the church. What greater love? Jesus sacrificed his life. Now, no, I'm not telling you to tell your husband go kill himself, for you for your love, nothing like that. But what greater love is this? He gave his life, knowing how bad you were going to be, knowing all the stuff you was going to do, knowing all the sins. He died and was resurrected so that you can spend eternity with him. So marriage is a representation, earthly model of what Christ's love for us is. So the devil hates it. He also hates marriage because he knows if he breaks up your marriage, then your children will be broken in some ways. Your children will experience pain in some way. Your children will experience certain kind of heartache. Your children will not experience mommy and daddy loving one another. They will not experience wholeness. Because I don't care what you say and how good you co-parent. There's absolutely nothing as amazing as having a mom and a dad in a house loving and displaying the love of Christ towards each other. Because at some point, your children are going to want to get married. You want to be a model of the perfect marriage. And Satan hates that. He does not want your children to have a successful marriage. Just thinking on my childhood and all the stuff I had to experience, because my view of marriage was so bad and so tainted because of what I witnessed through my father, because of what I saw. I saw my mother being good and loving and dedicated to her children and her husband. And I saw my daddy, he was a provider. But he had some issues. And that made me say, one, I'll never be submissive. Two, if I ever get married, I'm going to make sure I'm running it. And that's not God's way. That's not God. How is that God? So you have to be mindful of what the enemy has already done prior to marriage to affect your marriage. The devil was working on my marriage back when I was 12, 13, 14 years old. The devil was trying to destroy my marriage back when I was a teenager. And he was trying to use my dad and my mom to destroy it. He was trying to use all the broken marriages around me. Because watching that restoration process was not something that was known to me. I didn't understand it. But, honey, let me tell you now, God can restore your marriage. If you take your hand off it and you focus on what needs to be done in you, and you allow him to do what needs to be done through your husband, in your husband, you can experience the marriage of your dreams. It is possible. My clients are experiencing it. They are happy, like going on vacations with just them two. The kids are home. One of my clients literally just messaged me because her and the hubby were going out of the country. I said, oh, the kids with you? No, they're with their granny. Okay. Well, turn up, okay? Because they wanted to redo the whole romance and as part of the course, I teach you about that romance and getting that going too. But they wanted to make sure it was just them two connecting, and they were being intentional about it. You need to be intentional about restoring your marriage if you want it to restore. Okay, so drop any questions that you may have in the chat. I've already recapped it. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and drop it now. But if you are ready, meaning like you're not on the fence, like you're not sure, I'm not positive. No, I mean, if you're ready to build the marriage of your dreams, if you're ready to restore, if you're ready to heal so that you can fully experience life and love the way God intended, then the elite and empowered wife is definitely for you. It's an amazing coaching program where I walk you through the stages of healing, where I we deal with baggage and unresolved issues and how to build communication, how to communicate effectively, standing up and being that bold, confident woman that or wife that you need to be in your marriage. And you get support. Honey, the Elite and Empowered wife is amazing. It's amazing. We do the things, okay? So if you're interested, click the link in my description and apply. If you're on Facebook, go ahead and click. It's connectingloveandmarriage.com/what's new, connectingloveandmarriage.com/ what's new, and you'll see the link to apply for the Elite and Empowered Wife. Okay. um thank you so much for watching. I'm Arrettres Hollins, the founder of Connecting Love and Marriage. I'm super excited about helping you live the life that you want. Okay. Your marriage can be happily ever after is a thing. It is a thing. It takes work and it takes intentionality. And if you're ready, I got your book. All right. So I pray that I'll see your application in my inbox soon. And have an amazing day. Love you. Bye. All right.